Hi, you guys. Welcome. I think everyone here knows me, but I'll still give a brief introduction. My name is Chloe Bellatori. I'm a relationship and communication expert. I'm a graduate of Princeton University and Pat Allen's Want Institute. If you don't know Pat Allen, she mentored me, and she's kind of famous in the LA Orange County area. She also mentored Patty Stanger of Millionaire Matchmakers. She mentored Marianne Williamson. She's about in her 80s now, so she's mostly retired. But she mentored me, and I used the tools that I learned from her. Um, Transactional analysis is created by Eric Byrne of androgynous semantic realignment, which is her doctoral work. And I also use tools that I created because I've been doing this work over a decade now. It's crazy. Um, I've also written 3 books on this work, and I'm working on my fourth. So if you're not on my email list, shoot me your email, and then you will be apprised of when that will be coming out because it's going to be soon, hopefully before the end of this year. This one's been um, a really intense write. It's called Daddy Issues, Mommy Issues, and it's geared towards women, but I think men and women will be able to get a lot out of it. My first book, How to Live, it really has the basics of this work. So if that's what you're interested in, that's a good one. I'm going to put my credentials here. This is going to be our last meetup for this year. I am planning on coming back next year, and maybe I'll have some different offerings, or maybe we'll be doing this group still. Um, we'll see. I but I'm plan to be around. I will be working though through the holidays, so I put in my website and my Instagram. You can reach out to me there if you have a need. The holidays can be a really triggering time. And so I ask people to be kind to themselves, cherish their feelings, respect their thoughts, and try not to do things that you don't want to do. Okay, because that's kind of a recipe for disaster. Okay, so what are we talking about here? Why are we here? My specialty is dating and relationships. And when we talk about relationships, the most successful relationships are those that are balanced between feminine energy and masculine energy. Okay. And we've often become imbalanced in our relationships as a result of childhood trauma, whether that's trauma with a big T or a small t. Most people have encountered some kind of trauma in childhood. And that's basically what happens to us between the ages of 0 to 12. Those are when most of our critical development windows are. So that's the time that the things that occur have greater power over us, greater valence than things that happen later in life because we're still developing our brains. Um, Freud said from 0 to 12, that's your life, and the rest of the time you're really just getting over that. Now, it's kind of a dark view. We now know that Freud was right, that those are critical years, but the brain can change. It's not fixed. So even if you've had a significant amount of trauma, there is still hope. Okay. God enters through the wound. So while many of us have gone through hard things in our childhood, um, this is the way that we learn. This is the way that we change. This is the way that we grow. Right? The brain rewires itself on pain, not pleasure. And most of us have to be in a significant amount of pain to make a change. So the other thing is that most artists have a big wound. So you can comfort yourself with that. Look, every success here has a shadow side. Every catastrophe has a silver lining. We live in this universe based in duality, which is epitomized by the yin yang symbol, right? Um, Yin being feminine energy and yang being masculine energy. And it's this balance of masculine and feminine energy within us and within our relationships that leads to greater consciousness. And that's Carl Jung's work. Carl Jung defines consciousness as that balance between feminine and masculine energy. Okay, so what's feminine? What's masculine? Feminine is the right side of the brain, right? We're all feminine and we're all masculine. I recently saw there's a film on Netflix right now, a documentary about the twin flame universe, which I don't necessarily want to boost their signal, but I do think it was absolutely crazy. And one of the things that they say in there, what I guess is being at least portrayed as a cult, um, is that you have to decide with whether you're one or the other, and they in that organization they actually force you into one or the other. But the truth there, that's wrong. It's confusing because some of the language is similar, but um once you start really listening, I think that you can hear a lot of differences and nuances. So all of us are feminine and masculine, okay? And we have this feminine side, which is the right hemisphere of the brain, which is the side of the brain that is feeling, that is passive, patient, vulnerable, the world of magic, of spirituality, of sensuality, of sexuality, receiving. These are all yin qualities. And then we have the left side of the brain, which is linear thinking, logical thought, right? This is the side that most of us are in when we're at work because it's the world of ideas, it's competitive, conquering, controlling. This is the world of giving, taking care of, nurturing, okay? And so we have these, both of us, all of us, these two sides in ourselves, in our brains, and bringing these sides into balance and aligning with what is our authentic energy in the moment is really the artistry of doing this work. Oops. Okay. So that's what we work on here. Um, if it sounds a little abstract, that's okay. It takes a lot of repetition to start to understand this stuff, but I will say that I never have seen results like I do when people start to do this work. This work is very practical. I give homework. You will see change. It's not a painless process. Life itself is not a painless process. So we can either choose the productive pain of change, or we can choose the pain of change needing to take place. So the pain of stagnation. Um, and once you sort of get a taste for this work and a taste of what it feels like to be your authentic self, you never really want to lose that. And that's what I hope to achieve with all of these groups, is that you guys touch your authentic selves and begin to align with that. Of course, find your person, get into a happy relationship. I want that for you all too. And most healing is done through relationships, okay? If you've had bad relationships, the irony is, well, to heal, you have to go try it again, right? Try to have a good relationship. But using these tools and understanding this rubric, difference between feminine and masculine, using supportive complementary languaging, using the stroke and stand that I teach. I teach this work in more depth, as some of you guys know, a few times a year. And I put that in the chat too. So those are the module packages, and we'll be starting that up next year as well. And I'm really excited about offering you guys this, continuing to offer you guys this stuff, and also to be offering things in new formats and packages as well. So that's my spiel. Now, my favorite part is always hearing from you and hearing your questions. You can ask me about dating, you can ask me about relationships, you can communication questions about my offerings, books. I also put up stuff on Instagram and TikTok pretty much every day. I might take a break over the holidays, but there's a lot there if you want to explore that. Um, I know for me, once I started learning about this work and I saw the changes that it could affect, and I really have seen tremendous transformations in myself, but also other people. Um, I just wanted to learn more about it. I just wanted to dive as deep as possible into it because I could tell there was some secret sauce there. And, some psychologists think this work is very dangerous because if it gets in the wrong hands, it's very powerful. But you guys know that if I suspect that, I will not work with people who I think are using this work for ill. Okay, that said, I'm ready to take your questions. If anyone has any questions tonight, Cindy. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Chloe. So glad
Welcome.
to be back. Yeah, so I was wondering, um, I, you know, I've been kind of reading up on attachment and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I fit fearful avoidant attachment really well.
Mm-hmm.
I have this issue where I try to like put myself out there. And I guess I'm pretty strongly in the feminine energy side of things, for context.
Good.
So
Okay.
yeah, yeah, I try to put myself out there, whether in person groups or dating apps. But I have this thing where I tend to, probably because of, childhood trauma issues, I tend to like go towards men who are also very feminine energy,
Mm.
like
Mm-hmm.
very safe, very
Mm-hmm.
empathetic, kind of like me. So we end up becoming good friends.
Friends, yeah. It's
Yeah.
hard to have chemistry when you're both on the same energy. That's more of a friendship.
Yeah. And but then if there are more masculine energy guys who either ask me out or whatever or show interest, I like freak out internally and I don't know, it just scares me a
Right.
lot. Um
Was your father a rager?
a rager?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was prone, I mean by that, he was prone to raging.
Yeah.
Rages. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
because of that, you're gonna be a little prejudiced against anyone that reminds you of your dad, right?
yeah.
Um,
Well, and they could be perfectly nice, like polite, like, but if they show like romantic or sexual interest and they kind of go for the hunt, supposedly,
right,
like I just withdraw like crazy. And
okay,
then, oh, she's not interested.
right, right. If you reject a man, sometimes you see in movies girls rejecting guys over and over and they keep trying. That's not reality. If you
No.
reject a guy, he usually goes away. Um, okay, so first of all, because these men remind you of your dad, you're gonna have to bring a lot of awareness to the situation when it's happening,
Mhm.
that it is not your dad, right? Or maybe it is, but you have to look at the person. You have to not just assume. I had the same thing as you.
Mhm.
And I still find sometimes that I'm prejudiced against people who remind me of my dad, who was also a rager, and even his physical characteristics. I recently had to really examine that actually, because I have a extended relative who is not my dad, but he reminds me of my dad, but he's not my dad. So I can't, I want to be fair. I want to be honest, and I don't want to conflate him with my dad. So
Yeah.
part of it is looking at the qualities that these men um express and seeing if they are in fact ragers like your dad or if they're just masculine, right? There is a difference, and the main difference is masculine men who are respectable
Mhm.
will still lead you, control you, but they will ask you about your feelings. They will cherish your feelings. Bullies don't care about your feelings and they do whatever they want to you. Okay. So
Yeah.
there is a big difference there. Um, that's it may sound kind of nuanced, but that's what I want you to really look at when you're seeing some of these more masculine men. See if they are cherishing, see if they are caretaking. Do they open the door for you? Do they ask you how you feel? Do they put their jacket around you? Okay, so these are things that will be little signs that show you, hey, maybe this guy is a kind masculine man as opposed to a bully, right?
Mhm. Right.
Um, if the other really big thing to look at is, do their deeds and words line up? So if you're looking to date a guy and he's masculine and he says he'll pick you up at 7 and he picks you up at 8,
Mhm.
that's a red flag, right?
Yeah.
Especially if he doesn't reach out. Even I recently had a client who was seeing a guy and then suddenly he couldn't even show up for like appointed phone call times, right? That's a bad sign.
Yeah.
So looking to see if their words and deeds line up, that'll help you start to desensitize. Now, I also want to give you a little warning about feminine men. Some feminine men can be great and they could be great friends for you. But some feminine men are very manipulative, and sometimes that's a little bit more insidious because it's not a bully. They try to seduce you with tears and guilt. So, the three ways to communicate, according to Eric Byrne, is bullying with intimidation or fear, which was like your father, seducing with guilt and tears, the which is basically coming from the feminine energy, right? But
Mm.
it's also similarly disrespectful. So it's similarly one-sided, or negotiating with love. And that's what I teach. And that's why I always say, as you know, what do you want more? Your feelings cherished or your thoughts respected? We all want both, but we alternate. We use that supportive languaging to support the equity in the relationship and to keep the chemistry alive. Too much focus is put on equality. What we really want to look at is equity. Equality is great in the workplace, and I really want women to finally get paid as much as men get paid for the same work, right? But that doesn't that has no direct translation into my romantic or personal life. In my romantic life, I like to be taken care of. I, like you, want to be in the feminine energy. That means I have to learn to step back and receive from a masculine man. And sometimes it is triggering because if it hits on the notes from my childhood, I'll start to
Mhm.
feel bad. But then I have to bring a lot of awareness. I've been married over 20 years. If my husband adopts a certain tone of voice with me, sometimes if it hits me at the right moment, I'll want to start crying, even though I know he loves me and has shown me that through a number of actions over the years, right? Um, there still will be moments, nobody can be there for you 100% of the time. Nobody's reaction is going to be exactly what you want 100% of the time, right? There's
Right.
still going to be those moments, and we are often triggered mostly in our intimate relationships. So you're ironically or paradoxically, you're going to be bringing your masculine analytical side to start looking at the interactions or transactions you're having with more masculine men and to try to determine whether or not they are cherishing and respectable for you to date. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess that's kind of the second part of my question or issue
Mhm.
is that I'm pretty good at like reading people because I kind of had to do that when I was a kid. So
Right.
I think at this point I've been able to filter out the bad, basically.
Good.
So I've never had any like toxic issues or relationships, but um the problem is I think I'm filtering out the good as well because I'm turning yellow
Right.
flags into red flags because
Because
I
you're
don't know.
scared.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And so those are the moments that we have to look at and bring a lot of awareness to,
Okay.
because those are the moments in which your decision making is falling back into your old pattern. And people are patterns, and to change those patterns, we have to bring so much awareness to them, and then we have to take a counteraction.
Mhm.
So once you're aware, oh, I'm doing it again. This is actually a nice guy, but he reminds me of my dad. I can't, block or whatever. That's the moment that we just need to stop and slow down. And even if you can't change your behavior right away, okay, well, I'm going to reject him anyway, but I know that this guy was had some potential, but I'm going to reject him because I'm too scared. After a while, you will get tired of yourself doing that, and you will
Yeah.
start to make a change. And sounds like you're pretty close to that point now. So when it starts to happen and you feel that trigger, and a lot of times, especially women, we feel it in our bodies before we can know it in our minds, right? Something starts to happen, you feel that surge of cortisol, or your heart starts beating fast. Like, everybody's a little different. For me, sometimes I'll start sweating, I'll get really hot. Once you feel that, you go, oh, here we hit something, this is something I need to pay attention to. And then try to bring awareness to it so that you don't make the same decisions, because you have to, if you want things to change, you have to start making different decisions. You have to start trying new things and new people.
Mhm.
And it's going to be gradual, and it's going to be incremental. And that's why I always say celebrate your wins, no matter how small, because every big win is made up of a bunch of small wins. Um,
Yep.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just agreeing.
Yeah. So, that's basically, that's what your work is to do. When you find one of these masculine guys you're interested in, try to hang on, try to use that, your own masculine side, to cherish your feminine side, and analyze whether or not this guy is going to be aligned with that.
Okay.
And it will get easier.
Yeah, I think I'm making some progress. But it's always helpful to hear your thoughts on things. So
Good.
thank you.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, and it's you, make sure you're doing your duty dating, you're doing your flirting. Um, in the beginning, some triggers are really raw, but as you continue to take counteractions, like I said, that will be a foundation, and then that will build your confidence up so that you don't feel so kind of blindsided or helpless when you are approached by a masculine man.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. Okay, well, let me
Thank
know how
you.
it goes. I love to hear your guys' progress and your updates. Thank you
Yeah,
for sharing.
thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Sophia.
Hey, I've been exploring the topic of masculinity and femininity for the past few meetings I've been coming, and I think I'm realizing that during the day I'm masculine and at night I'm feminine.
Yeah, that
And
makes sense because you're
yeah,
working.
and at night my feelings towards like certain people that I'm dating changes. So like um I don't know. There's this dude. I'm not really like super interested in dating for real seriously, but I'm open to whatever if things go well. And there's this dude that I met at my church, and he like brought me some Oreos from the other side of the room, and I was just like, "Oh, this guy's masculine."
Yes.
And yeah, I've never been able to attract masculine men because when I'm outside in public, I'm being in my masculine energy. Um, and yeah, then he offered to fix my crib, and now I think I'm getting like a little bit too like woo woo about like, wow, I finally attracted a masculine guy, but he's a little bit clingy, I think, or like a little bit like overly accommodating. And I'm just like, I don't know, trying to like figure out like what's like a guy trying to be um like what is it called? A little bit toxic versus like if that's just a masculine man who's
Right.
being overly accommodating and nice.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
like love bombing.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, you're only going to know something like that over time. so far it sounds really nice. Like he wants to help you and he wants to, feed you. And those things are both really good signs. Um,
Mhm.
you've been to this group enough to know that, men are suffering right now because they don't know how to act. A lot of this generation's men and a little older have discovered that the things that they learned from their fathers don't apply anymore, right?
Mm.
You can't talk to a woman, look at, I mean, I'm old. I'm sure I'm older than you. Well, yeah, I know I'm older than you. But the same thing has happened to men in my generation, So it's a confusing time for men. I think if he's being nice to you, accept it, receive it. You're not used to it.
Mhm.
So it's sometimes just the act of someone being nice to you makes you suspicious because you're not used to it, right? It's
Yeah.
questionable. You have to desensitize to joy. And that's really one of the biggest parts about healing trauma. We're okay when the stuff is crap, right? When things are going horribly. We're used to that. We know how to handle
Yeah.
it. But
So
how do you
sad, but true.
desensitize to joy? How do you receive? How do you learn to let down when even the simple act of relaxing is triggering in itself? And like I said
Mhm.
to Cindy, it's a gradual process. So it's a gradual process of desensitization. I like you receiving from him. I like you accepting his help. You don't need to cherish his feelings. So if you feel uncomfortable, you can say no.
Mhm.
But try to receive and see how it goes. It's different than having a relationship that's based on a trauma bond. There's a lot of excitement in the chemistry when you find someone that fits your scripts, which is the name basically for the coping mechanisms. We go more into
Mhm.
this in the modules, but it's the name for the coping mechanisms and the narrative we develop when we're in the critical window of 0 to 12. So when you find someone that fits your scripts, that fits your traumas, you can sometimes develop an insane chemistry because those people become stand-ins for the people in your childhood. And when you're in a healthy relationship, you won't necessarily have the same chemistry. It'll feel a little less like a roller coaster, a little more like the bumper cars. You're cruising along, there will be some bumps, there will definitely be conflicts, but it's not going to be that up and down. And so
Mhm.
that does take a moment to adjust to. I often have clients who they start dating nice men. They can't believe the men when they're being nice to them and giving them compliments. It's like, am I supposed to believe that?
Yeah, it almost feels like too good to be true. It's like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, when is he gonna try to corner me? Like, he wanted to come over to my house to fix the crib, and I'm actually bringing Tiara. I'm bringing the crib to the church because I don't want a guy that I haven't ever been on a date with in my house.
Good.
So I'm lifting heavens and earth, quite literally, to put this like 5 foot crib in my car that weighs like 50 pounds. Um, Everything has to be from a lens of like, I have kids now, so I gotta keep my
Yes.
kids safe. I don't want somebody coming into my house and who knows.
Yes. Very important. And obviously take those kinds of precautions. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I sounds promising. I like where this is headed. So let's see. Now you
Yeah.
only need 2 more guys in the mix. Of 3 guys
Hopefully.
dating. Because I always
Yeah.
recommend, because until you're in a relationship, you don't want to get overcommitted on one guy.
Hmm.
And so that's
I
why
find it, yeah, I find it better to get less attached to somebody if I'm dating multiple people at a time.
exactly. Exactly. And if it's 2 people, it's either or, 3 people tends to be kind of the perfect or
Magic number.
a good number. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you for the perspective.
You are so welcome. Good luck. And I look forward to
Hmm.
your update.
Yeah.
Okay, Kiara.
Hey, Chloe, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How can I help you?
Good. Yeah, so I wanted to ask you a couple questions. One about your services, and then the other one kind of going off of what Sophia was saying and what Cindy and I were saying in the chat, because I kind of have like a similar thing when it comes to like the last dating scenario that I had. I couldn't tell if the person was a genuine nice person, or they were trying to like love bomb me. And I just really couldn't tell. And I guess kind of, do you agree with what kind of like what Cindy and I were saying, is that, is it just time to see if it's love bombing? Like, are there signs? What's
Yeah, I
love
mean,
bombing?
look, good psychopath, good sociopath can fool you for 6, 9, maybe 9 months, maybe up to a year. But eventually you're going to be able to find it out. Nobody can keep it up for that
Right.
long, you know? So, absolutely, be safe and I don't want you guys, I think what Sophia's doing, bringing it to the church, although it's good, you already have people at the church who know him. Another alternative could be to have your mom in the house or somebody else there, right? There's a bunch of, little things you can do, when you go on dates, make sure somebody knows where you're at, or maybe
Right.
somebody comes up and says, "Oh, hey, I didn't know I'd be running into you." I remember when I
Yeah.
was dating, that happened to me a bunch of times. One of the guy's friends showed up just to make sure that the date was going okay. I don't know.
Wow. That's really nice.
Right. So,
Wait. It was his friend or your friend?
no, his friend.
Oh,
He
oh,
did it to me.
wow.
I don't know why.
Oh, I
It
thought
was
that
so
someone did that
weird.
for you.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think he was worried he would be like bored and he would need an out or something.
Oh
I
my
don't
God.
know. But people are doing all this stuff. It takes a
Yeah.
minute to get to know somebody. So, put the safeguards that you want to put in place, but don't let that prevent you from getting to know somebody. Uh,
Yeah, and that kind of was my thing too, because it I kept going back and forth in my head, and I would say like, I'm gonna be vulnerable, and then I would say no, I'm not, because I need to protect myself. So I would just go back and forth. And now I'm thinking, like, based off what I've learned, like with the feminine and masculine, like, because vulnerability is part of being feminine,
it's
right?
the biggest part. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, and that's the thing I will always do. Like, I would always like try, not even with dating people, but even on apps, I would just be like, oh, I could tell they just want one thing. So I would be like, not vulnerable at all, like, oh, haha, I got you before you got me. And I'm realizing like I have to be vulnerable and really just kind of like not be, because I don't know, for some reason I associate vulnerable with being like naive or
Right.
being taken advantage of. So I'm
Right.
kind of like still working through what does like being vulnerable versus like being, naive or
Right. Taking
letting
advantage of.
someone
Right.
exactly.
So I'm glad you brought that up. This is, that's where your work is. That's where your script is.
Right.
Obviously at a young age, you learned, as did I,
Yeah.
that being vulnerable, especially to a man, was a bad idea.
Yes, so
You know,
true.
if you grew up with any kind of abuse, be it emotional or physical or whatever, you learned that it was that's your coping mechanism, that it was a matter of your survival for some of
Yes.
us to hide our vulnerability and to be tough and to be the one first to reject and to be that. Now, paradox, the irony is that to heal that and going forward in your relationships, if you want to be in the feminine, you absolutely need to be vulnerable. And people,
Yeah.
especially women who've been abused, that's the last thing we want to do, is make ourselves vulnerable.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
it's just that, but you have to recognize now you're not a little kid anymore.
Right.
Grown up, you can take care of yourself. That doesn't mean you will never be hurt again. You will still be hurt. And maybe even if you get married and you're living very happily, there will still be moments where your partner will hurt you, right?
Right. Right.
But it won't be the life or death situation that it was when you were a kid, when you needed that person to take care of you because you were a child, and human children can't exist on their own. Right.
Exactly.
I tried it myself.
Such a good point.
Yeah.
Such a good point. Such a good connection to make for me. So that kind of leads into my next question. So I had emailed you and we kind of chatted a little bit about the increments of time. So
yes.
Is the time into what I want to accomplish or what I kind of want to work on is, I mean, I guess we're talking like a little bit, you kind of know a little bit about me, but is that included in the actual time or the session, or is that like a pre-screening?
No, we'll
How
just
does that
talk
work?
about it in the session. So
Okay.
it's really driven by whatever you want. I mean, I already know you, so but sometimes people want to take like a whole hour session and not have me talk. They just want to tell me stuff.
Right.
So, that's that person's prerogative if that's what they want to do. You know me already from this group. I don't need
Right.
a ton of information.
Right.
You can tell me your problem and we'll figure out what we need to know. So I'm
Okay.
very results oriented. I'm very solution oriented. I try to, even people who've only been to this group once, if I've worked with them, I try to get that as much as I can in the first sessions, because
Right.
I don't know next time I'll see you, if I'll ever see you again. Life
Right.
is strange. So, that's the way that I work. So that's why I'm able to book sometimes in shorter segments. So basically the way it works is, for the first session, now you're already in this group, so we might not need as much time for the first session. Usually for the first session, we need an hour, at least a half an hour. And then we can move into like shorter increments. But for
Okay.
you, since you already know me, that's why I said if you wanted to book 15 minutes, that would be fine.
Okay.
If you ended up being like, sometimes I usually don't set up standing appointments for people, but I will if there's a reason or a rationale to do it. Like I once did it for one of my clients who was dating a guy who had cheated on her. So she wanted part of the requirement for him getting back in her life was that he see me every 2 weeks and we do check-ins on certain things. So
I'm sorry, Chloe, what do you mean by standing appointment? I'm not familiar with that term. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So a lot of times when people go to like traditional emotive therapy, it's about I'll see you every Friday at 3.
Right.
Okay. So that would be a standing appointment.
Oh, okay, like a
I
repetitive.
usually don't do that because I
Got
like
you.
part of the therapeutic process working with me is that you come to me asking for help.
Right.
That's the first step. That's very important. So, I usually just wait until people need me and they reach out and then we set things up.
Got it.
If that's
Got it.
like, if you were a regular client and we were having a lot of sessions, then, for people, some people really use me. You know what I'm saying? Like they want to check in about this text and this question and this phone call. And so for my regular clients, they will like text me during the day or they'll call and they'll do even shorter than 15 minutes. And it is kind of taxing, but I still do it because I do want to be there for people when they need me. So, if you're a regular client, I'll even do like shorter amounts of time and then I'll add those up, and usually I take payment in advance. But if you need me and you need to reach out and we don't have time to negotiate that, I will bill you after. I'll wait until, if you reached out for 10 minutes here and 15 minutes here and 20 minutes there, then I'll bill you for the total.
Got it.
When it gets to like a half hour, an hour. So that's kind of how it works. Sometimes I know it can be really confusing. And then when you're in the moment and you need help and you don't know how everything works, it's like, So
Yeah.
I just wanted to lay it out for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I probably would want to start with like I said, doing like a session, appointment. So
Yeah.
I'll reach out to you. Since I have you, can I message you on here or do you still prefer your email?
Whatever you want.
Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you so much.
You are welcome. I mean, I'm not sitting here with my calendar right now, so
Oh, okay.
that's all.
Okay, I'll just email you. I'll email you right now then.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I mean,
Thank
the
you.
privates, you guys are getting a really good taste of this work, but in the privates, we really get to go a lot deeper and get into the nitty-gritty of things, which is very helpful.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much.
You are welcome. Okay, Sophia, you have another question?
Yeah, would I be able to send a screenshot of some of these texts that this guy was sending real quick?
To where? To the chat?
Yeah, like I have some texts that I just
Okay, put them in the chat.
I'm second guessing myself. Yeah, thank you. I'm second guessing myself if like this is him being like clingy or like love bombing.
Okay, put them in the
So
chat.
yeah. The context of this is I met him at a church and I was talking about, oh yeah, my crib, I need to ratchet it down a little, and then he's like, oh yeah, here's my business card because he's a handyman, and he said I'll clear my schedule when he was texting me. He said I'll clear my schedule, so I guess he has like other work going on. I don't really know what that means.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so no. This is okay, so just this first part.
Mhm.
Don't cherish his feelings. He said he can do it. Don't say if you're busy. What? Don't do that.
Oh, okay.
He's trying to
I
tell
was.
you he's available. He's trying to be accommodating, and you're like, it's okay. You don't need to be accommodating. Don't do that.
Oh, okay.
Can we?
Yeah.
Your baby's safety is number one. Just need. He said, "Thank." Of course, if you need anything else, let me know. This sounds good. I don't see any red flags on this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. I always see red flags in everybody, and I'm like, I never trust myself. But like, I thought when he said, I'll make sure to clear my schedule, like, I thought he meant that, like, he had other plans at noon. And I was like, well, like, if you're busy, but like, I'll definitely keep a note that if somebody offers me something, that I'll take them up on it.
Yes, please try to receive. Please try to receive.
Thank you.
Isn't it crazy? We have to work on receiving.
Yeah. I'm such a giver that it's hard for me to like accept people.
Yes. And a lot of us were trained that that's what our approval, that's what the love we would receive was based on that. How much we could give, what we could do for another person. But real love, true love is given freely and openly because we live in a universe of caring, kind people. Not everyone is like that, but there are people who are like that. Okay. So you don't have to do anything to earn his love. Women are lovable. We're like flowers, right? Men are like bricks. Women need to feel good to do good. Men need to do good to feel good. So you're a woman. You just need to feel good. You just need to exist and be your beautiful flower self and receive.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like somebody told me like if you get a diamond, you don't expect the diamond to like sing and dance for you. Like the diamond is the gift, and like we women are the diamond.
Exactly. Very good metaphor.
Mhm.
Okay, good. I'm glad we nipped that in the bud. Okay. Okay, Cindy.
Kind of just to follow up on
Yes.
Sophie's point. Is it, is it okay to like receive help from guys that offer it, but you're not like attracted to it? I don't know. Is that like going to give mixed signals?
No, I mean, I mean,
I mean, I usually say
it
no.
depends.
I
If a
usually say
guy's
things.
giving you a Porsche, yeah, he might expect to spend some time with you.
Oh yeah, no, nothing like that. But
But if a guy's just opening a door for you or wants to take you to dinner or Even this guy even if Sophia doesn't end up being interested in the guy who wants to build her crib or fix her crib, still good practice for Sophia to be receiving from this guy. So yes, you don't always know if you're interested right away, right? So
Well, yeah.
go
I
ahead.
I guess my question is like, if you know you're not interested,
Okay,
but
give me the example. Give me the example.
I don't have a specific example off the top of my head, but it's just like if they're going out of their way to help you with something, but you see them as like not romantically, like just as a friend or something. I always default to just saying like, no, thank you. It's okay, I can do it. But
Okay, no, don't do that. I want you to try to receive, and I want all you girls in here to try practicing more receiving. You can receive gracefully from a man without leading him on. Remember, men need to do good to feel good. So he's going to get something out of doing something for you, even if you don't have intercourse with him. You understand?
yeah, I don't want to give mixed signals, but
Of
it's
course
like,
you don't want to give mixed signals. And please don't give mixed signals. Please don't lead men on. A lot of women are trained to just like try to rope in as many men as possible, and then decide. So don't do that. But if a man's offering to help you, receive it. I was once with my mentor Pat in a Kinko's, which does not even exist anymore now. It's called FedEx, but we were in a Kinko's, and she was going to use she's older, but she was going to use the self Xerox machine, right? But she couldn't figure it out.
Mhm.
And I wasn't jumping in to figure it out for her either. And so she got the guys at the Kinko's who were supposed to be helping the customers who were in line behind the counter. She got those guys at the Kinko's to help her with her self copy. And it was really interesting to watch, but they happily did this. And there was no sexual energy about it at all, because she's, like I said, in her 80s. At the time, maybe she was in her late 70s, but still, these were guys in their 20s, whatever. They're working at Kinko's. But she is so good at inhabiting her feminine energy that the men who work there subconsciously, unconsciously, maybe consciously, could see the value in helping her. So, like I said, men get something out of holding the door for you. They get something out of helping you. Now, those men in that Kinko's that day, they could feel, when they do good, they feel good. They could feel good. They could feel respected because they had helped an old lady in a Kinko's.
Yeah.
Pat's a PhD. I don't know if she was putting on an act, or she really couldn't figure out the Xerox. I really don't know. But that was how that went down, So
Yeah.
it's okay to receive. It's okay if somebody wants to help you. Yes, say yes. Don't always say no, no, no. I'm okay. I'm fine. You don't always need to say that.
Right, but if you suspect that they might be romantically interested in you, and that's why they're helping, excuse me, that's why they're offering. But you do need the help. Like, what would you
Take
do?
the help.
Take the help.
Take the help.
But you know you're not romantically interested in
That's
them.
okay. Take the help.
Okay. Okay. I just
And then
I don't
and
know the
then
rules.
and then be okay after he helps you move all your furniture into your new apartment. Be okay when he says, how do you feel about having dinner with me? Say, actually, I don't want to lead you on, but I've really enjoyed spending time with you, but I don't want to lead you on. I don't think I have the feelings that I would need to pursue a romantic relationship with you. But you know me, I believe in duty dating. So I would say go on 3 dates with the guy and then see how you feel. Because I've had just so many clients, and myself included, think there was no chemistry, think nothing was happening, still went on the dates, still told the guy there was no chemistry, and then suddenly they kissed or they talked about a work thing or whatever it was. They were together again and it shifted. So especially for women, sometimes the chemistry can build a little bit. The great thing about duty dating is you practice your feminine skills, and when you're not under stress, when you're not in the throes of a crush and you can't even think straight, right?
Yeah.
If you're not that interested, you can go on the duty date and practice receiving.
Okay.
So, you're not, a lot of us women have been conned into believing that we owe men sex, that we owe men something if they're nice to us. Right?
And sometimes, I mean, it depends, but sometimes you run into people who get upset if you say no.
Oh, yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. But women own the word no. And we don't cherish men's feelings here, not unless they're puking or bleeding. So if he gets upset, that's okay. He can be upset. You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah, I gotta get used to people being upset with me because that's a childhood wound that
Yes, that's the people pleasing. People pleasing isn't really about pleasing others, but about not upsetting other people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, okay, good. Well, we've identified a couple areas of work for you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I think practicing those things is going to be good actually for all the women here. We have a little theme going tonight. Oh yeah, someone said they saw Pat Allen on TV. Yeah. Yeah, probably. She's been on Millionaire Matchmaker. She's been on Shaws of Sunset. She's been interviewed a number of times. Okay, Raul. Hi, Raul. Can you hear me? You have your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that everything you said about guys is absolutely true. That I mean, we get a kick out of just helping. And yes, I mean, there's always sometimes the hope that it might lead to something more, but it doesn't necessarily mean that a guy will be pushy about it, you know. It's just like any interaction that we have with the opposite sex, there's always like uh, a glint of a hope, maybe, that they'll find, they'll find us interesting as much as we find them interesting. So, but we also know that women don't necessarily respond to everything, and so if they decline, then we move on.
Right. We're mysterious creatures, right? And we're changeable, we're moody, never know if we're coming or going, but that's what it means to be a woman,
Yeah.
We're a little crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I actually have a friend that's, I've known her for quite a few years, and she likes the idea that, I'm around to help her with little things here and there. But she made it clear from the very beginning that she had absolutely no romantic interest in me whatsoever. And I said, okay, we'll just remain friends, and we've been friends ever since.
Nice. Right. She told you that you can accept it or reject it, right?
Right.
So you don't want to get in a situation, ladies, where just because a man thinks you owe him for being nice, that you give in, right? And that's what happens on date rape. That's when we go out with men that we know and maybe we even like, and then they want more than we're willing to give. And when we say no, they say, well, you have to do something for me, right? You have to put me out of my misery. And I work with women in their 40s and 50s who are still dealing with how to say no to men who do that. So this is stuff that a lot of us women have been trained to do. And it's really important that, like I said at the very beginning of this meetup, that we don't do things that we don't want to do, especially as women. Okay. Because
yeah, and like you said, it doesn't take very long to find a bad actor. Like when the guys is only motivated by, you know, a return, when you want something in return, you can spot that right away.
Yes, they show their true colors really quickly. And when you know this working, you can see some of the games. And, you know, we, like I said, we go into it deeper in module 1. But when you see, you know, some of the games and some of the things, you start to see the tricks. I mean, you can, my clients, after they've been with me for a little, you know, you spot it really fast. You can spot it in just, you know, a couple of transactions. So thank you for adding that, Raul.
No problem.
Okay, well, if nobody else has any more questions, I am going to wrap it up. I hope you guys all have a great holiday. You will be seeing me again, of course. Holidays can be triggering. I don't recommend breaking up during holidays. I think I said that last week, but I just want to reiterate that. And if I don't hear from you in the intervening time, then I'll see you in the new year. Have a great night, guys. You're welcome.